All right, now, let me ask another question. How many of you, though, wish you had a little more heads up about the future? Just in your life? Right? And who in here reads the end of the book first? Who are my people? I knew Gail, I know Trisha. Who are my read the book? Okay. Somebody's pointing to you, Sheila. They're outing you. That's right. Okay. And how many of us truly enjoy unexpected events? Probably a different word, like surprise sounds fun. Unexpected, right? Questionable, right? Well, living in that middle without clarity, without timelines, without knowing how something can turn out can be really hard. And I just want to kind of share a little testimonial that I think ties into Revelation about where I found myself at Christmas. So one of the hardest things in life is walking through something that's unexpected, right? You know your car needs new tires versus you have a blowout on the side of the road. And just the same day your husband lost his job and now you got to buy not just one tire but 4 tires, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, I didn't see this coming. Well, last December, I had a surgery to remove a nodule in my thyroid. We've been watching it and trying to figure it all out, and then we decided that this was going to be the good time. Heads up, it was not a good time, but we thought it was going to be a good time. And so they took half of my thyroid, and when I asked my doctor about what the recovery was like, he's like, I'll have a sore throat for a week. And I love my doctor. I trust him. I've used him for years. He's been very helpful in a lot of areas. So, I took it at face value. I didn't even take off the next day of work. I thought it was gonna be like a colonoscopy, right? Like one day kind of sore, and then the next day you're back with it. Well, guess what? That was not the case. What I didn't expect was that the surgery and the swelling would cause me to lose my voice. Not for 1 week, not for 2 weeks, not for almost 6 weeks. Guys, I just got my voice back like a week ago.
And you couldn't even yell at your doctor.
I couldn't yell at anybody. No, not my doctor. This was over Christmas, right? When my sons are home and I have 19 and 20, so inevitably I need them to do something. I cannot yell at them to like, can you bring me? And so it's like I'm walking up the stairs and then I'm already frustrated, and just compounds like all the things. I could not go to the pharmacy through the drive-through and place an order because they couldn't hear me. Like I had no volume. At work, I teach for a living. Like I had to wear a headset, because I'm teaching virtually, and I look like customer service Jan. And it was a horrible. And then it got to where it was really bad. It was like all crackly, like a 13-year-old's voice that you're like, that's not. It was not sexy horse, guys. It was horrible. And so communicating was difficult. My voice and connecting with people is my joy. And not knowing that it was coming was probably the hardest part. I wasn't prepared. And then, without any heads up or any timeline or any way to plan or prepare, I'm trying to lean in like, Lord, what are you teaching me? I know you have a purpose. I know that there's a reason. And I can see so much good that came out of it, because out of this, like Janelle and Amanda, we were already meeting about it. I was like, guys, I don't know if I'm going to get my voice back, because I saw the doctor 2 weeks ago and he looked at it and said 3 to 6 months. Oh. I had a big pity party that week. Because I was like, and what's really ironic is that he did a test, and he's like, oh, I can see that it's weak, because it was this one vocal cords. He's like, yeah, it's probably 3 to 6 months. And so that whole week I was just so sad and so depressed. And this is where Satan wants us, right? Kind of confused, lacking clarity, and just enough truth coupled in with the lies, right? Like this is because the doctor did the test, guys. He did the test, so of course, and so not knowing and being in that place is where Satan wants us to be, right? So I'm trying to lean in, but it's longer and longer. And that's where he starts to say, like, you're being punished, your voice isn't coming back. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to God's truth, right? That's how we fight these lies. Like, okay, no, this is not. And if it is, I'm holding loosely. If it is, Lord, like to your glory, thankfully, God surrounded me with family and friends on that day, on that Monday, and I knew I was having a really hard time. I started texting some of my friends, right? Even just beyond my friends, asking people to pray for me. Normalizing weakness, guys. I need you to pray. This is what's going on. And so then on that Thursday, I woke up and my voice was actually a little bit better. And at the same time, the Holy Spirit reminded me, like, this doctor hasn't been right about anything. Why are you believing this? I joke about this, but I'm kind of serious, y'all. Mark sent me an email that he was praying for me on that day that my voice came back. And I was like, what time did you start praying? Because I feel like there was like a big correlation there. But the point is that people knowing what I was going through brought in the power of prayer, which God had been working on me, and that idea of persisting through prayer in the midst of not understanding. And so I just come back to this, the point is that this is why Revelation is so kind, right? This is an example of God's kindness, because he tells us the end of the story. So we're not walking in confusion or clarity or, a misunderstanding. Because God is not a God of chaos or confusion. Now, are there moments we wish he were clearer? Yes. Is Revelation kind of hard to understand at times? Yes, right? But he gives us what we need to know, when we need to know it. And he knows that by giving us the end of the story, that's going to bring us hope, comfort, peace.